Hi there, I want to welcome everybody to this webinar. This is part 3 of a series on LinkedIn. The other 2 parts were on the power of LinkedIn and creating your powerful profile. And this webinar, we're going to talk about powering your job search. These 3 webinars are part of a series of offerings from the Career Committee of your Alumni Association Board of Directors. And the Career Committee developed a theme for this year and next year called Owning Your Career. They are currently in the process of planning some events for the next 6 months or so, so keep an eye out for emails of some of the upcoming offerings. So I'm going to go ahead and move to our PowerPoint. And to introduce myself, I am Deborah Franke. I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Career Programs here at LaSalle University. My role is to support our alumni in their career development. And I also partner with our departments and with the Career Center to bring alumni and students together for various kinds of career-related programs and events. And I think with that, we will move into the content for today. So as I mentioned, part 1 and 2, as well as some bonus videos, are all available as YouTube videos. And I will be sure that you get links to those. All right, so today we're going to talk about powering your job search using LinkedIn. And I think that the first thing we want to keep in mind that LinkedIn is more than just a job search. And a job search is more than just applying for jobs. That's just one part of a successful job hunt. If we look at this nice diagram here, we see that there are some very other important aspects to a successful job search. So it's important to explore options before diving in. So when I meet with an alum one-on-one, one of my very first questions is, what types of positions, what types of organizations are you targeting? And if they're not able to answer that question, then we need to do some exploration. And LinkedIn can be a great resource for that. It's important to figure out exactly what an employer is looking for in hires, in ideal candidates, so you can position yourself as the perfect candidate. This is called marketing, and the whole job search is a process of marketing, and the product we're marketing is you. Now, some of you may be comfortable with that concept. Many of you probably not comfortable with the idea of marketing yourself. But in essence, that's what the job search is about. Networking. Networking to get to tap into employer referral systems in companies to build what I call internal advocates in your target organizations, to network with people who are potential hiring managers and people who are potential colleagues. And LinkedIn can help you in finding people to network with. And research is very important, particularly preparing for a job interview, but it's also important in doing your preparation of your cover letter, your resume, and preparation for networking. Important to do research as well. So the good news is that LinkedIn is a tool that can help you with all 5 aspects of a successful job search. And one very important thing to keep in mind is that recruiters are on LinkedIn. I've seen various statistics. 85%, 95% of recruiters will use LinkedIn in some way, okay? Now, how many of you have actually received some sort of an email or in-mail from a recruiter saying, I have a position you might be interested in, or I'd like to talk to you about your qualifications? That can happen. And that's what many people hope will happen when they set up their LinkedIn profile. But a lot depends on your field and how difficult it is to find qualified candidates. So for instance, in my field of career development, I honestly don't know how long I've been on LinkedIn now, 15, probably 20 years really. And in that whole time, I've been approached by a recruiter once. And that was for a job in the Middle East. So you can understand why it might be a little difficult to fill a position in the Middle East. It was a very interesting job. I can see why they wanted to talk to me. I wasn't interested in relocating to the Middle East. But that's all to say, in my field, I know that recruiters aren't going to be reaching out to me. Okay, that's just not how it's done in the career development field. But whereas in other fields, particularly where it's difficult to find qualified candidates, so information technology, scientific research, accounting, finance, executive roles, speech pathologists, just those nursing potentially, or specialties within professions, it's more likely that recruiters will actually source or look for candidates from LinkedIn. But even if they're not sourcing candidates from LinkedIn, it's very likely that a recruiter, a hiring manager is going to check you out on LinkedIn. So you want to have a really good profile, and they want to learn something about you that they can't learn just from your resume. So you want to be sure your profile isn't just a repetition of your resume. And you want to be sure that you're communicating your potential value to the organization. And in some fields, they may be even looking at your LinkedIn profile to see how social media savvy you are. So somebody, say in the marketing field, okay, it's going to be important that you're up to date and you're familiar with and using social media and understand its power. If your LinkedIn profile doesn't reflect that, that's not going to reflect well on you. In my field as well, career development and higher ed, it's really, we're teaching students, right, how to use LinkedIn. So I better show that I'm somebody who is using it and using it successfully.
Hey, Deborah, one thing I wanted to mention is that as far as speaking about recruiters, I've had recruiters reach out to me through LinkedIn, but it was as a business referral. There's a few people that I used to work with that have moved on to other positions, other companies and what have you, and then they became contractors, and they'd reached out and asked if I would accept to be a referral for them, and I said no problem. So what I've had, and in fact I just had that this morning as a matter of fact, is where I'd have a recruiter view my profile and then either get in message or maybe an email saying, would you be available to talk about this candidate that we're looking at?
Okay.
But then through that connection, then they're cross-selling, if you will, by saying, are there opportunities in your area or so forth and so on.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I've been engaged with recruiters, not necessarily like a cold call.
Okay.
But that's the experience that I've had with at least a handful of recruiters that have viewed my profile, but it was based on me being a reference for someone else.
Gotcha. Very interesting. But what I find really interesting is they wanted to check you out, to see whether whether you're going to be a valid reference for that person, right?
Right.
And then B, are you a potential somebody that would have qualifications and experience that would be of interest to them in terms of the types of positions they do fill?
Correct.
So, thank you very much. That's a great example of how recruiters use LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn profile, we've already said, is really, really important. And we're going to cover each of these things that I'm going to put here up on the screen. Your profile needs to be keyword rich. You really need to think of it as being much more than your resume. It's your story. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that in this webinar, because the second one really spends a lot more time on this aspect of your profile. You want your profile to be future forward. So although we tend to think of things like resumes and LinkedIn profiles as a history of what we've done, we really need to change our thinking. They're both marketing documents for where you want to be going. Okay, that's what I mean by future forward. You want to take advantage of the opportunity to post media on your profile. You want to be sure you've customized your URL, gotten rid of the gobbledygook at the end of your URL, and that you're using that in your email signature, in your resume at the header where you have phone number and email. Include your LinkedIn URL, particularly if your profile is going to tell them more than just the resume, what the resume already tells them. You can include your URL on your business card. As far as I know, I'm still the only person at LaSalle University who has their LinkedIn URL on their business card, and I'm proud of it. You want to use every section available to you and some of the optional sections. Really, you need to make sure that you are the solution to an employer's problem or need or opportunity. It's important to join relevant LinkedIn groups, and we'll talk why that is important. When you're looking at the profiles of other people who are doing what you want to do, look at their skills and endorsements section. What skills have they included there? Does that give you ideas for skills you want to include? Look at what LinkedIn groups they're in. Does that give you ideas for groups you might want to join? And then we're going to talk about the open to job opportunities button as well. So let's go to LinkedIn now and talk about some of these things in a little more detail. Oops, you don't want to see that. Okay, so here we are at LinkedIn. So I mentioned you want your profile to be keyword rich. Can somebody tell me what you think I mean by that? By saying that your profile needs to be keyword rich.
For my field within IT, I think we're talking specific applications I've worked on, specific code that I can write or read, specific platforms that I've worked on. So on that level, they're specific around, you know, if you say Unix, that's sort of broad, but if I can drill down a little bit further, what type of Unix or Linux boxes have I experience on? And so I know that is one of the things that they do focus on. What type of applications am I familiar with on those platforms? Yep. So there's a lot of keywords for IT.
There are, and sometimes it's harder in other professions to think about this concept of keywords, but every profession has them. So if you kind of put the hat of a recruiter or a hiring manager on, if they were to do a Google search or LinkedIn search to find someone like you, what would be the words or phrases they would use? Okay, they're not going to use the phrase accomplished professional, right? Or experienced executive, right? They're going to use something much more specific. So what are those specific keywords and key terms that are going to be relevant to your profession and to the roles that you're targeting? I'm actually in the process of writing an article. It's going to be, I hope, posted in the next alumni e-newsletter, and will also be linked on the job search checklist that's on the alumni website. And then for those of you that don't know, let me just show you where that is. So we're going to go to, I can't type when I know everybody's watching. Okay, lasalle.edu/alumni. There we go. See, I told you I can't type. This is the alumni website under network, career resources, and over in the right-hand side, we have job search. And this is a checklist I put together.
I'm sorry, Deborah.
Yes.
Deborah, I'm not seeing that screen. Are you wanting to share that screen?
Let me see here. Thank you for telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I should be sharing. Okay, tell me, do you see it now?
Yeah, now I see it. Yep.
Okay, very good. So under lasalle.edu alumni, under network, career resources, and then once you get to career resources on the right, click job search. And this is a checklist I put together, and you'll see there's links in here, okay? And I'm gonna be adding a link to my article on keywords here once I have it written. Anyway, for those of you who may not be familiar with this checklist, these various links will take you to articles, resources, articles that I've written on various topics. So good to know how to get there. Okay, so back to LinkedIn, I think. Yes. So it's important to know the 5 places you want to be sure those keywords show up in your profile. A very important one is the headline, this thing that shows up under your name. Again, we spend time talking about this in the second webinar. You don't want to use LinkedIn's default, which is current title at current employer. You really want to make this keyword full and demonstrate those things that make you distinctive, what you want to be known for, what the potential value is you bring to an organization. So take advantage of the headline. your summary, or what used to be called summary, now it's called the about section. You want that to be full of keywords, okay? And in fact, let me go to, this is, Tom is an alum, and you'll see he is in a technical position. And one of the things he's done is just, he has what he calls competencies, okay? Just a list of them. That's another way to get keywords into that about section. And this doesn't just have to be for technical or IT people. So within accounting, within marketing, within social work, whatever, there are going to be those keywords, and you can list them as competencies, areas of strength, whatever, and just list them here, as well as having them kind of scattered throughout the profile. So the headline is important to get keywords in, the summary section, your job titles. Very important that your job titles reflect those keywords. Now, what if you had a job title like customer service agent level 2 or something, right? Customer service 2. But you actually did a lot of project management in that role. Or you did a lot of troubleshooting or problem solving. And those are some of the keywords you want to get across. Well, here's one way to do it. Let me show you. I'm in my profile. I'm going to edit this particular job title, instructor. And I really want to emphasize that I did that both classroom and online. So in parentheses, you could add words or phrases that really define. So if I wanted to emphasize project management or curriculum development, right? If I'm going for a job that's involved in curriculum development, I could put that, I'm not going to try and spell it here with everybody watching, okay? I could type that in here and include that as sort of a descriptor in the job title. So that's a way of getting keywords into your job title. So we talked about the importance of having keywords in your headline, in the about section, in your job title, also in the skills and endorsements section of the profile. That's this section right here, okay? So when recruiters are looking for candidates, they will enter specific skills, and LinkedIn will look in this section of your profile to see if those skills are in there. You can have up to, I believe it's 50 skills, and take advantage of that. I mean, why not have 50, okay? You can add a new skill by just clicking here, add a new skill. Now I'm at a max of 50, so I can't actually add a new one. You can type it in. You always want to select from the drop down. You don't want to create something that's not part of the drop down, because no recruiter is going to search for some skill that you made up, okay, or that's unique to only you. You can also adjust which 3 show at the top of your profile, right? Only 3 show unless somebody clicks show more here. And so by editing this section, clicking the blue pencil, these pins here are the ones at the top. And so if I wanted to put program development, I would unpin one of these, and then I would pin the one that I wanted to move to the top. So even though I don't have very many endorsements for workshop design, that's a skill that I want to emphasize. Why? Because I'd like to do more of it. And then another area you want to make keyword rich is in the accomplishment section, specifically the projects and publications options here, okay? Use keywords. This is something I confess I need to come in and do more with, okay? So if you were quoted in an article, if you wrote an article, okay, have the title, have a link to it, but also have either a description of the article or a couple sentences from it that engage the reader and that are keyword rich. So this figuring out what your keywords are and incorporating, I mean, there's an art and a science to it, okay? But the more familiar you are with your field, the more you can think like a recruiter or hiring manager, the more job descriptions you look at, the better sense you will have of what those keywords are. We already said you want your resume to be more than just your history. but to tell your story. And, you know, part of my story is that I did an undergraduate degree in environmental engineering and ended up as a career counselor. How did that happen? Okay. And so that's part of my story that I want to tell in my LinkedIn profile. I already mentioned making sure your profile is future forward. So it could be in your current position, you've got tasks, responsibilities, even accomplishments that are not relevant to where you want to go. Then don't include them. Just include the things that are relevant to where you want to be headed, to where you want to be going. You do not need to describe everything you've done. Think about where you're going and how you can use your work history to communicate your qualifications for where you're going. I haven't used much media on my profile, but I do think it's a good idea to do it. And I want to show you an example of someone that has done that. That's one of my goals, is to do more of that. So we can all keep working on our profiles. They're never done. So here's Kenneth Johnson, and we'll see in his about section here, okay, he has uploaded various media. In some cases, these are just documents, but I want to show you here, he's uploaded a video. So if I want to learn something more about him, just a moment, move a few things around, okay. Still can't get to it. There we go, view, okay. I could come in, I could view, and here's the video. And I could watch a video of him talking on a particular topic. And I could probably learn a lot about him. So for myself, right, it would be great for me to maybe have a student video me, do some short video clips of me doing a LinkedIn workshop with students, or even interviewing a student afterwards about what they learned, and then posting that here. How much could somebody learn about me as a presenter by posting a video? So I just want to show you Kenneth here as an example of using media. So you can post documents, videos, links to websites, all different kinds of things. You can do that in your about section. You can do that, see he's done that for a specific job, okay? And there's other sections as well. I believe some of the accomplishment sections, you can also post media. So take advantage of that. Customize your LinkedIn URL. So your LinkedIn URL is up here. Okay, it's the unique address that will take someone to your LinkedIn profile. If you look at the end of it, when you first create your profile, LinkedIn adds a bunch of numbers and letters to the end of it. And you want to clean that up. So Kenneth here, he's already cleaned his up. And I've cleaned mine up. Now let's see if we can find an example of one that isn't cleaned up. It's usually pretty easy. Okay, here's an example of one that isn't. You see all these numbers and letters? That just kind of looks messy, looks cluttered, okay? How do you clean up your LinkedIn URL? You go to your profile. In the upper right corner, edit public profile and URL. Upper right corner, click the little blue pencil. You'll see you can't change the first part of it, but you can change the second part. This is where having an uncommon name really pays off. So if your name isn't that common, like mine isn't, I think there's only 5 or 6 Deborah Frankies on all of LinkedIn, you can probably just use your name here or some form of your name, right? I could be D. Frankie or Deborah or Frankie Career or whatever, okay? If you're Susan Smith, you're gonna have to be a little more creative, probably, all right? But LinkedIn will not let you save it if someone else has that URL. Once you save it, you can then use that cleaned up LinkedIn URL on your business card, your email signature, your resume, and that will help people get to your profile quickly. Any questions so far?
No, I'm good.
All right. So a couple other comments about your profile. Again, take advantage of every section. So how can you see what sections you're not using? when you go to your profile and you're logged into your account, you can click your add profile section, okay? And so for instance, I can see license and certifications. I'm not currently using that, okay? Now I don't have any licenses or certifications, but if I did, I'd want to include them, okay? This accomplishment section is kind of a catch-all category. And I know that it's showing me I have 3 publications, but I could add another one. Oh, I don't have any of my patents listed. Well, I don't have any, all right? If I, actually, I did receive an honor from my local professional association, and I haven't put it on LinkedIn. I need to do that. So this is reminding me I have that option of including that honor. So I would just click here, enter the relevant information, okay? And, excuse me, and then save it, and then that would be added to my profile. So take advantage of every section of the profile.
Now, Deb, on those profile or on those sections there, is there a rule of thumb as far as a timeline? So I know, for example, if in a previous position you have certifications for an old job that you don't use today, is it still relevant to put it out there? What's kind of a rule of thumb on that?
Well, relevant is the rule of thumb. Is it relevant to the job, the kind of positions you're targeting or the career direction you're going in? And if it's relevant, why is it out of date? Okay. So now occasionally somebody might say, you know, I want to show that, whatever, when I was in such and such a position, you know, I made the effort to be certified, even though that's not especially relevant to where I'm going. Well, maybe instead of including that out-of-date certification in the section for that job, you might include a line that says, you know, pursued certification at such and such in order to increase my skills and advance to the next level of the organization. Okay, so you might actually, again, if it's out of date and not especially relevant, that's how you might want to include it, to show that you're somebody who is always thinking about developing your skills and knowledge, developing yourself professionally.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
All right, good question, thank you. All right, so, okay, let me see. I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to be sure I don't miss anything. One thing to keep in mind, which I have read, is that the mysterious LinkedIn algorithm that they keep under lock and key, kind of like the formula for Coke, all right? Coca-Cola. Nobody really knows when a recruiter or a hiring manager does a search why your name appears on page 1 or page 5. However, people who study these things and try and figure out the algorithm say that LinkedIn, the algorithm is going to penalize you if you don't have a current job. So for instance, if for some reason I was no longer at LaSalle, but didn't have a current job, so I had an end date here instead of present, somebody doing a search, I would show up further down in the results than if I had a current position. So the basic recommendation is to create, if you're in that situation, to create a current position. So for instance, I've worked with alums that were not currently in a position. They were doing some freelance work for friends. Maybe they weren't even charging the friend. I said, great, you're a sole proprietor, put it down, give your company a name, give yourself a title, and create some bullets here about some of those projects you've worked on. If you're doing some volunteer work, I've seen people do that as well. Some volunteer work while you're looking for that next position. Include that, and then your description and your bullets are going to be things that are, again, relevant to, it could be your project management skills. It could be your ability to learn something quickly. It could be that you made something more efficient at that organization. So I do have a couple of good articles on that very question. What do I put here if I'm not in a current position? Which I'd be glad to share with any of you that might be in that situation. All right, we talked about skills, joining relevant LinkedIn groups. So how do you see what groups you're already in? You click on this weird 9 square symbol. And this is kind of where LinkedIn puts stuff that they didn't want to put on the black bar. And that's how you can take a look at what groups you're in. Why is it important to be in LinkedIn groups that are relevant to your field, even if you're not active in those groups? Okay, because recruiters have a filter where they can put in a specific LinkedIn group, and they're only going to search for people in that group. So that's why it can potentially be important to be in LinkedIn groups. Now, you don't know what groups recruiters are looking into, but you want to try and find out for people in your field, what are the groups that they're involved in? We talked about this in the first webinar. You can do a keyword search, okay? So someone who is into digital marketing, we just type that phrase in there, and we're interested here where it says more, we just want groups with those phrases. And here's a group, digital marketing has over 1 million members, right? It's pretty likely that's the kind of a group that a recruiter who's looking for candidates might say, hey, I only want people who are in this LinkedIn group. So you might want to join, you know, the 5 or 10 largest digital marketing groups if those are the ones that you're targeting, if that's the type of position you're targeting. Another way to find groups is when you look at the LinkedIn profile of someone in your field. Let's say somebody is in higher ed career development and they come across my profile. They come down, they see what LinkedIn groups I'm in. That gives them ideas for some groups they might want to join. So that's a couple ways. And then any professional association in your field likely has a LinkedIn group, so you want to search for that. Any questions so far?
No, I'm good right now.
All right, thank you. Good to know somebody's out there. All right.
Hi, I finally made it to my destination.
I'm sorry?
Hi, it's Yvonne. I finally made it to my destination.
Oh, hooray. Okay, good deal.
I'm wealthy. I had one quick question about the keywords.
Yes.
Very often we're told to look at job descriptions to gather our keywords. Is that the best place to research?
It's certainly a very good one. And as you may have heard me say, I'm writing an article that's going to include some other ways to develop keywords.
Okay, great.
I like to use a tool called JobScan.
Okay, yes.
JobScan.co. And what you can do in JobScan is on one side paste a resume or your LinkedIn about section or whatever. On the other side, you can paste one job description, or you could paste 10 or 20. And then it will analyze those job descriptions and look for the recurring keywords. Now, you don't want to just say, oh, because it says it's a keyword, I should include it. You want to use your brain and say, does it make sense that this would be a keyword in my profession?
Right.
And then develop a list of 10, 15, 20 keywords that you want to use throughout your resume and throughout your LinkedIn profile.
Great. Thanks. That sounds great.
Look for the article as well. We'll have some other suggestions on determining keywords, because I know that that's a question that comes up a lot, which is why I decided to write that article. Okay. We're going to talk about the Open to Job Opportunities feature. If you don't currently have this on your profile, you're just going to come to Add Profile section, then go to Intro, okay? And then you would see here, and I'm not seeing it because I'm already using it, but you would see looking for job opportunities. And then you would be able to add the information. So this is something, I'm trying to think, maybe it's been here about a year. LinkedIn's made a recent update to it or change to it. But let me, what you can do is indicate job titles that interest you, okay? Now, obviously, I'm big in the career field. So maybe I'm trying to think of another job title. I remember I mentioned workshop, okay? So I could see, hey, maybe I want to add workshop facilitator as a job title, okay? So you can type in a keyword, and from the drop down, you want to select the job titles that you're most interested in. I've seen profiles where people have 15, 20, 25 job titles listed here. And then locations that you're open to. If there are specific locations, you can include as many as you want. And what types of positions, okay? So I'm only interested in full-time or remote, but other people might click some of the other things here. And who do you want to be able to see this information? Is it okay for everyone on LinkedIn to see it, or just recruiters? Okay. Now I have it set to only recruiters. I frankly, it doesn't bother me for people to know that I'm open to opportunities as a career development professional. I think all people should be open to opportunities at all times. It's not saying, oh, I hate working here, I want to get out. It's just saying, hey, I'm always open to seeing what's out there, okay? So it actually wouldn't bother me to have this open to all LinkedIn members. This is the thing that LinkedIn recently added. Previously it was only for recruiters. Now they do say here, you know, we'll try our best not to show this, excuse me, to recruiters at your current company. But obviously they can't promise that. So if you're currently working somewhere and you don't want anyone to know that, I would not use this feature at all. Okay, so, but a lot of people aren't aware of that open to job opportunities option, and I just wanted to point that out to you. Okay. Let me just make a quick comment about settings, particularly your emails. And so to see all the options you have for settings and privacy, you click on your, what I call your mini me, and then settings and privacy. If you've never been here before, it's worth coming in, looking at all the options, seeing if you want to change anything. I'm not going to go through all these at all. Let's see if we get there. Let's try once more. Okay, for some reason it doesn't want to take me there. Try one more time. Oh, here we are. No, it doesn't. Okay, well, that's LinkedIn for you. Sometimes it just doesn't want to do what you want it to do. Anyway, the key point I want to make here is you want more than one email connected to your account. One of those will be primary. That's the email when your first level connection clicks on contact info. That's the email that will show up. So right now my LaSalle email is my primary email, but I also have a Gmail. The reason you don't want to just have one, there's actually two reasons. If you only have one email associated with your LinkedIn profile and it's your current employer and you're suddenly let go, you will not have access to your profile. And you have to go through all kinds of gyrations to get access again. If you have like an employer email and a Gmail, okay, you can always access it back through your Gmail. And if you get hacked, you can actually communicate with LinkedIn via Twitter using that second email. So just a strong recommendation, be sure you have more than one and that that you have one that is not a work email. Okay. Let me just quickly go back to our PowerPoint. So this is what it would look like if I'd been able to get there. Settings and privacy, and be sure you have two emails associated with your profile. Okay, we talked a lot about your profile. We're going to talk briefly about connections, conversations, and engagement with the time remaining. So again, let's go back to LinkedIn. So what kind of people do you want to have as first level connections? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Right now, some of the first level connections I have are personal contacts, friends, alumni that I'm in touch with, and also obviously business associates that I'm actively engaged with, whether it's coworkers or if it's people I've worked with at other companies through my current job.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to add who they have, what kind of people they have as first level connections?
I've also reached out to some companies that I'm researching and hopefully work in the future. So I'm reaching out to those persons as well.
Okay. Okay. So again, keeping in mind where you want to be going, that future forward, right? Who are the potential hiring managers? Who were the recruiters for that? One of you mentioned past and current coworkers, classmates, family, friends. Yes, all of those people. Anytime that you invite someone to connect, what's the number one rule? Okay, here's Rick. I want to invite to connect with Rick. What do I do next?
You want to personalize your note.
I'm going to always personalize it. That will set you apart from the 99.99% of people who don't personalize it. Okay? I don't know Rick, but I know he's a recruiter. Okay? So I might just say something like, Rick, I'm always looking to grow my network of recruiters in the Philadelphia area. Since I work with alumni that are looking for new positions and looking to make career transitions. Would you be interested in connecting? That's it, okay? And then my name, Deborah Franke. And then I send it off. Now, not everybody that you invite to connect is going to connect. One, you don't know what their criteria are for first level connections. And secondly, you don't know how active they are on LinkedIn. Now, he's a recruiter. And so he's going to be active on LinkedIn and he's going to say yes. Okay. Now, one thing to add, some people like to do the before strategy. What I mean by that is they see somebody they'd like to connect with, but they have a conversation first. Then after the conversation, they invite them to connect. Rick, it was great learning more about the work that you're doing, recruiting people into such and such a field, and how we might be able to support each other. Would you be interested in connecting? So I've already had the conversation. Other people go with the after strategy, meaning they invite someone to connect first. When and if they connect, then they follow up separately. And I'll explain what I mean by that. They follow up and say, hey, Rick, thanks so much for connecting. Would you like to have a conversation and learn more about what each other does? I don't think there's a better way or a right way to do that. I think kind of just trust your professional business instincts. And with some people, you might want to invite them to connect and then have the conversation. With other people, you feel like, no, I think I want to have the conversation first and invite them to connect. There are 2 books that I highly recommend. Both of these are listed in that job search checklist. One of them is called, I can find it quickly, The 2-Hour Job Search by Steve Dalton. And it's a step-by-step process that helps you to create a list of target companies and then have conversations with people in those target companies before there's an opening there. The other book, maybe it's not on here yet. The other book that I recommend is called The 20-Minute Networking Meeting. It actually comes in 3 editions. What they call graduate, professional, and executive. The process is the same. It's just the examples are different based on level. Real easy read. Talks about why do you keep your networking meeting in 20 minutes? What's your agenda for that meeting? How do you prepare for it? How do you conduct the meeting? How do you follow up? For someone who is uncomfortable with or doesn't have much experience with networking as part of a job search, I think both of these books are really, really excellent because they both take you through step by step. When I'm learning something new, particularly if it's something I'm not real comfortable with, I like a step-by-step process. So if you do too, I recommend both of those books. All right, so we talked about the importance of building up those first level connections and the types of people, being sure to customize your request to connect when you connect with someone. All right, let me see. Engagement on LinkedIn. So it's not enough to just set up a great profile, which we spend a lot of time on, and sit back and wait for the good things to happen. You want to become engaged. So one way to do that is to come to your homepage on a regular basis. For some people, it's how they start their day. For others, it might be twice a week or once a week. Okay, you decide when. You decide if you're the kind of person you need to kind of schedule that appointment on your calendar. What shows up on your homepage here are what are your first level connections doing? All right, so Chuck is a first level connection and he commented on something Benjamin posted. It's also, so things that first level connections have done, things that your companies that you're following have on their news feed, things that are happening in your LinkedIn groups, advertising LinkedIn is pushing out to you, all that, thought leaders you're following, all that showing up. One of my great disappointments with LinkedIn is you can't filter what's on your homepage. I would love to filter and just show me the 20 companies I'm following so I can scroll through their combined news feed. So you can either sort by top, which is letting LinkedIn decide what you see, or recent, which is just putting it in reverse chronological order. But lunchtime is when I will often come into my homepage and I'll scroll down, I'll say, oh, well, this is an interesting article. I don't know, let's find one that looks interesting. Actually, I know Oliver, I worked with him when I lived in England. Hey, what's Oliver up to? Okay, so just the fact that he's posted something about Jen makes me think, hey, maybe I should reach out to Oliver, send him a little message. Maybe I'll do that. So just going to my homepage now, I've thought, hey, it's time to reconnect with Oliver, okay? Or I'm trying to find an example of an article somebody posted. There we go. Okay, here's a McKinsey study for behaviors, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if there's actually a link. It's not a link to an article. All right, I don't know how, there's a job opening. Here's something, Jimmy White. So Henry, who I'm connected to, commented on something he posted. Okay, so here's a Harvard Business Review article. So I might, that looks interesting to me. I might read the article and then I come back here and I'm gonna make a comment, okay? You know, I really appreciate tip number 3. I think this is something I need to be more conscious about, etc. So come to your homepage, comment on things other people have posted. You can also see what's happening in your network by clicking My Network. And over on the left, here's your connections, okay? And you can see it's going to be reverse chronological, so your most recent connections. Oh, Candace finally connected with me. Let me message her, okay? So you can see who's recently connected with you. Notifications is another great place to come. So here are people who've started new positions. What a great opportunity to reconnect with somebody, okay? Oh, that's great, Patrick. Oh, he's, okay, let me check the, oh, I remember Patrick. Yeah, we had class together, whatever. Congratulations, Patrick. So I sent him a little congratulations message and, hey, would you be interested in talking with me sometime about your experience at Comcast? So really take advantage of all these different opportunities to engage. And not just engage on LinkedIn, but the phrase take it offline. So who are the people you want to have that phone call with? Get together in person. Invite to your next professional association meeting. All those kinds of things. Really use LinkedIn as a tool, okay? But it's really about initiating, building, and nurturing those professional relationships. And you're going to do that through LinkedIn, but you're also going to do it by taking the conversation offline. All right, let me see what else. Go to your homepage, comment on things other people have posted. You can post on your homepage. So back to the homepage here, okay? So to post, I can just start a post right here. What do you want to talk about, okay? So maybe I just saw an interesting article on how artificial intelligence is being used in job interviewing now. And so maybe I want to post a link to that article. So I would write a sentence about it, okay? I would then include the link here, okay? LinkedIn is going to see that it is a web link and pull that article into this comment. If I wanted to, I could add a photo, a video, or a document to my post. I can decide who gets to see my post, anyone, just my first level connections, just people in a particular group, okay? So I have a lot of options when I post something. So take advantage of that. So in addition to commenting on things other people posted, don't be afraid to post. How often? Well, not every 5 minutes, but probably more than once a month, okay? If you really want people to begin to think of you as a thought expert in your field, a thought leader. Okay, I'm watching our time. We've got about 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, so really take advantage of LinkedIn and engage. Take advantage of using media, as I said, on a post. People love photos, right? Video. So I have photos of students who have conducted job shadows. That's the program I'm really, really proud of, being part of one of the co-coordinators for our university job shadow program. So, hey, how about I post one of those photos and talk about how exciting it is to help make these matches happen and really have an impact on student lives, and how rewarding that is for me. That would be a great post. And I can guarantee I'm going to get some comments on that from people who see that. Okay, so you could also write an article on LinkedIn. I'm not going to go into that, but if some of you really want to be seen as thought leaders, you can learn about writing articles. Anything on LinkedIn you want to know more about, come to the help. Okay, I like to go directly to the help homepage. It's really just linkedin.com/help will get you there. Okay, and so if I want to learn more about writing articles, I'm just going to put in a keyword or question, publish articles on LinkedIn. Boom. This is how I do it, how I get started with links, what I can add, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to link me to other pages that are going to help me with writing. So the LinkedIn help feature, great resource to take advantage of. All right, I want to leave, what do we have, about 2 minutes here for any final questions on anything I've covered. You'll notice, in fact, I didn't even talk about the jobs tab on LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn has a jobs tab. You can search for jobs. You can set up job search agents where they will send you jobs that match certain criteria. The more searches you do on LinkedIn, the more jobs you looked at. LinkedIn will automatically send you emails. Oh, here's some jobs you might be interested in. It's kind of interesting, the ones I get, because obviously I do searches not just for myself, but for alumni. So, you know, I'll get LinkedIn recommending jobs to me that have nothing to do with my interest, but have a lot to do with the interests of an alum that I met with recently. So kind of interesting how the algorithm can work in situations like that. So one of the things I do want to show you on the jobs tab, let's see if I can remember how to get to it. Track my jobs. And then over here, I was really impressed with this. This is just a few months ago, LinkedIn came out with this. 26 common questions you get in job interviews, okay? And so here's, why do you want to work here? And so they give you an overview of why an interviewer might be asking that, okay? How you might approach this question. If you have a paid account, then it includes the sample answer. And then for everybody, some tips here, okay? And you can actually practice that. I could practice answering this and send that video to a friend or colleague and say, hey, can you give me feedback on this? So for preparing for job interviews, this is a really, really interesting tool that LinkedIn has added. So take a look at that as well. All right, I will take questions at this time.
I'm good right now, Deb. I appreciate what you've shown. There's a couple of things you showed that I wasn't aware of as far as updates on the profile and all. So I really appreciate it. But everything else is straightforward as far as I was concerned.
All right. Well, what you just said is music to my ears. I love LinkedIn. I call myself a LinkedIn enthusiast. There's always more to learn about LinkedIn, its capabilities, its features, how to use them. And my hope is that each of you has got something worthwhile out of this. And what you got out of it may be quite different for each of you, but that's fine. Please don't hesitate to contact me. Any questions about anything I've covered here, any resources I mentioned. And I wish you the very best and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Deborah. You too. Take care.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.